The most profound vulnerability of the modern era is not a weak password, a physical threat, or a breach database. It is a voluntary surrender of the psychological boundary between the self and the collective. The nothing to hide fallacy is a sophisticated psychological trap that weaponizes morality to equate privacy with guilt. By adopting this mindset, you are not proving your innocence or your virtue. You are announcing your strategic obsolescence as a sovereign individual. Privacy is not about the concealment of wrongdoing. It is about the protection of the internal laboratory, the sacred, unobserved space where your unique identity, original thoughts, and competitive advantages are cultivated away from the corrosive influence of social engineering and mass surveillance. When you believe you have nothing to hide, you inadvertently accept the permanent role of a social performer. In psychology, the observer effect proves that human behavior fundamentally alters the moment we believe we are being watched. This leads to the Panopticon Effect, named after prison architecture, where inmates never know exactly when they are being monitored, forcing them to regulate their own behavior at all times out of an abundance of caution. By living in a state of radical openness, you stop taking intellectual and social risks. You stop exploring unconventional ideas. You begin to default to socially compliant behaviors to avoid any possible misinterpretation by the invisible observers. This isn't honesty. It is a slow death of the unfiltered self. You trade your capacity for revolutionary thought for the hollow safety of perceived normalcy. In a world without privacy, the weird, the dissenting, and the innovative are strangled in the cradle by the fear of retrospective public judgment. The nothing to hide mindset operates on the naive assumption that the entities watching you today share your current values and will be the same entities watching you tomorrow. This is a fatal strategic error. Digital data is permanent, but social norms are fluid and often volatile. What is considered innocent or even virtuous today can be reframed as subversive, problematic, or criminal in a different political, cultural, or corporate climate. This is a context collapse. When your private life is accessible, your past is perpetually weaponized against your future through a historical audit. A private joke, a moment of weakness, or an association from a decade ago can be stripped of its original context and used to dismantle your career or reputation by an entity with a different agenda. You are handing your future enemies the bricks they will eventually use to build your prison. Having nothing to hide today does not protect you from being found guilty by the shifting, unpredictable standards of tomorrow. Privacy is the primary currency of strategic sovereignty. In any negotiation, conflict, or social hierarchy, the party with the most information has the most power. By revealing everything, you create a state of extreme information asymmetry. You allow corporations, governments, and competitors to build a psychographic profile of you that is often more accurate than your own self-perception. They know your triggers, your hidden insecurities, and your predictable response loops. They can use this granular data to perform micro-targeted manipulation, nudging your decisions, your purchases, and your political leanings without you ever feeling a sense of external coercion. When you have nothing to hide, you become a programmable asset. You are no longer a participant in the market or society. You are the raw material being optimized for someone else's profit. The nothing to hide mindset is inherently selfish because it ignores the safety of the collective network. Your lack of boundaries doesn't just expose you, it exposes every person you interact with. This creates a social pincer movement where your data is used to map the movements and networks of others who do value their privacy. Through metadata analysis, observers don't need to know the content of your conversations to know your strategic intentions. They only need to see who you talk to, when, and for how long. By being an open book, you become a leaking node in your social circle, potentially endangering allies, mentors, or family members who are operating in high-stakes environments. Sovereignty requires network security, and that begins with individual discretion. You have a moral obligation to be a dead end for surveillance, not a conduit. To the sovereign individual, privacy is a functional necessity for evolution. You must maintain a private vault, a space where you can fail Experiment with heretical ideas and develop your life strategies without external interference or the fear of a permanent record. This requires the implementation of a strategic opacity protocol. You do not hide because you are ashamed. You hide because you are valuable. You must move from the nothing to hide mindset to the need to know mindset. You treat your personal data as a high-value asset that must be guarded with the same intensity as your bank accounts. You realize that transparency is a tool used by the powerful to keep the weak predictable and manageable. Breaking free means reclaiming the right to be inscrutable. You are not an open book. You are a complex, evolving masterpiece that only a select few have a security clearance to read. Ultimately, the most powerful version of yourself is the one that the world cannot fully categorize or predict. When you have something to hide, not out of guilt, but out of sacred boundaries, you regain your mystery and your leverage. You stop being a data point and start being a force. The nothing to hide lie is designed to make you a glass citizen, transparent, fragile, and easily shattered by those who hold a light. Sovereignty is becoming a black box. You output excellence. You provide immense value, and you dominate your chosen field, but the why and the how remain exclusively your own. True power is not found in being seen and validated. It is found in the ability to move through the world unseen until the moment you choose to strike. The most dangerous person in the room is not the loudest one, but the one whose intentions cannot be read. By maintaining information hegemony over your own life, you prevent others from constructing a narrative for you. In the absence of your private data, the world is forced to judge you only by your current results. This is a shield of discretion. It prevents the social tax that is levied against those who are too transparent. When you are an enigma, you are a moving target. You become immune to the social credit pressures that seek to domesticate the human spirit. You are building a fortress of the mind, a place where the algorithms cannot reach and the observers cannot tread. This is where your true power is born, in the dark, in the quiet, and in the absolute solitude of your own sovereign will. The world doesn't need to see your process. It only needs to feel the impact of your finished work. You must recognize that every terms of service agreement you sign without friction is a micro-surrender of your soul. We are being conditioned to believe that privacy is a luxury, when in fact, privacy is a human right that is essential for the functioning of a free mind. The modern digital landscape is an attention extraction complex that thrives on your desire to be seen. By refusing to play the game of radical visibility, you become an anomaly in the system. You become a ghost in the machine. This ghosthood is not a retreat. It is a strategic position. It allows you to observe the observers. It gives you the high ground in the social landscape. While others are busy curating their transparency for the applause of strangers, you are curating your power for the achievement of your purpose. The apotheosis of this journey is the realization that your silence is a weapon. In a culture of constant noise and oversharing, the person who says nothing is the person who holds all the cards. Your private thoughts are the seeds of your future empires. If you share the seed before they have taken root, the birds of public opinion will eat them before they can grow. Protect your seeds. Protect your process. Protect your solitude. The nothing to hide mindset is a siren song designed to lure you onto the rocks of mediocrity. Ignore it. Anchor yourself in the depths of your own mystery. The more you hide of your inner workings, the more profound your outer manifestations will be. You are not meant to be understood by the masses. You are meant to be a force of nature that they can only watch in awe.